What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamer Dad channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Tom Clancy's The Division 2's level design from the perspective of Federal Emergency Bunker, talking about the internal areas of this bunker, how I think it's really cool the way the developers put it together, but with an emphasis of the game's level winding down. I've had to basically skip a lot here because this is a big level. You run through it significantly, you encounter so many things. But once you make your way down, down this other level through this ladder and you come into this cafeteria area, I think this area is actually very well intelligently designed, because the encounter really does help for a lot of stuff that is advantageous to you, the player. And for the most part, gives the enemy a disadvantage. And what that is the way this cafeteria is built with the pillars in the middle. If you notice here, this is one of those levels that has a lot of little crevices and corners where you, the player, can kind of strafe back and forth while shooting. It's a different kind of gameplay. The Division, we run into cover. Depending on what difficulty you are, you crouch in cover or you stand by a cover in a wall. But there's so much of this stuff here, and also some stuff that the enemies can also leverage, that you'll find yourself in a position too where, sure, you're going to be crouching, but then you kind of have to move and change position because they keep changing position as well. So it really allows for like this really roundabout, cyclical battleground going on. And sometimes if you're playing on a much more difficult setting, you find yourself in a position where, you guys are basically trying to back out a little bit. Maybe if you want to play with directives or whatnot to kind of give a little bit of a challenge, or maybe before we were really strong in the Division, this room on heroic would actually give you a lot of trouble. It would give you a lot of heat, but you could deal with it. You could handle it. It wasn't really a big deal. And then as you make your way into this filing room, I mentioned this briefly in the video, how the cover starts to change, but then you start to see like these, for some reason, I think the lighting here, I don't know if the lighting here is significant in any sense to tell you that, things are probably winding down. But then you make your way to this boss room, which, you can tell you're at the base level. There's no longer anywhere that you can go down. Notice the reduction in the ceiling here, in the way it actually, the cave starts to feel a little bit more claustrophobic. I think that the designers are probably telling you something. It's about to end here. Now, before we go into this boss room, let me do a little bit of let me backtrack a little bit, because some of you may or may not know, I've been working on game development in terms of learning for the past few years. Picked it up just a few years after the Division 2 came out as a hobby, and exploring, what it takes to actually, design or develop a video game, or at least design different areas of a video game. And since then, I've started to look at every video game that I like from a different perspective. And what's happened is my appreciation has grown significantly for the stuff that you see in the game, from the art perspective, from the mechanics perspective. We're going to do that one soon, hopefully, here in a bit, God willing. And I just wanted to talk about one of my favorite levels from an aesthetic perspective, even from a technical perspective, as to how they set it up and the gameplay sequence that goes with it. And we've been looking at Federal Emergency Bunker this is video number 3 on it right now. So now you're about to enter the boss room. And there's something really interesting that the developers do in some of these encounters is they'll do a forced look. Remember when you open this room, then your camera kind of pushes right to see what's going on. And then you see like, oh, this is the person you came to rescue. They run outside. They want you to see that whole sequence, right? I'm just going to go get ammo and I'm going to get ready. And then you see enemies continue to spawn from these so-called tunnels that basically they lead to nowhere. There's probably a spawner back there. Those are mechanics that we'll probably deal with and such. And it's really interesting to look at it from a gameplay perspective anyways. But anyways, they start spawning after you talk to, I think it's Maya, that you have to talk to Maya Walsh, yes. And this is, basically quest design, and you talk to her. It's Division quest design to a T. Other games use it, but this is how we roll. So basically you have some areas where you can do some, circular fighting in a sense almost, because the cover is not too convenient here. If you stay in cover too much, your line of sight from enemies are going to be too close by the time they approach you. So you really need some room and some distance between you and the enemies to be able to take them down before they get close, because they will spawn a lot of them. They'll be running straight at you, especially the bombers. And this room, basically has a claustrophobic feel to it. And the job of this room, I think, is to complement the boss. Because the boss itself, or maybe the boss in this room, is to complement the setting and the level. Because this boss is a runner. They rush you down, and they either start maybe meleeing your skills or whatever, and they have a sledgehammer that is insane. If you see the distance, right? The distance just did it look like he was gonna be able to get me, but yeah, don't ever sleep on these guys with the big huge mallets though, because they will mess you up. You would think that you're gonna get away scot free, and then they basically destroy you. Now I'm playing on an easier difficulty here, obviously, because I'm trying to survey the level. But when you play on a harder difficulty, and many of you probably remember this, is this guy chases you down. He chases you down so much, but you only have a limited space to run. And I'm sure the designers intended it so because it increases the intensity. And again, if you guys remember the new incursion right now, basically harps on this significantly. Because once you make your way into the boss room, the boss that's in the little room they use the sprinkler systems to deal with, a lot of that area is just you running around. So basically, from what they had kind of set up as a mechanic and a gameplay sequence, they pretty much were training us here to basically do the exact same thing. And then when you smoke the bad guy, the bunker has an exit, which I think is actually pretty cool. That's one thing that's pretty cool about a lot of Division missions is the way they actually have you exit the missions. It shows you a whole different area of the map that you probably didn't know existed. And so this exit's kind of pretty cool, because many people will fast travel, but, walk some of the exits sometimes. I think they really do allow for you to be able to appreciate the game from a whole different perspective. So basically, they build the entire level, entry, exit, and then, you make your way with an elevator, and voila, you're back in the open world, which is a set of levels on their own. But there's a whole different conversation about this that we can talk about. But this is one of my favorite levels from a design perspective. There are a few of them, but this one really did resonate with me. The very first time I started to kind of walk into it and pay more attention, I was like, whoa, there's actually something quite special here. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching the video. I know these are my ramblings, and more of them are going to be coming. I've been wanting to do these for a while, and I think I'm finally getting the opportunity, and it's quite exciting. So talk to me in the comment section, like I said, and we'll talk hopefully in another video. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.